there's a lot of people that are upset about their names being in the Epstein files.
Oh, yeah, it's been a big deal, sources are telling me.
And to that, I say, maybe you shouldn't have been doing crazy shit.
Huge.
There are actually a number of people who came out looking better than before, Norm Finkelstein being one of them. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
He was essentially like invited to go hang out with like Jeffrey Epstein and Alan Dershowitz, and he essentially said they should be strangled instead.
Oh, yeah.
So that was funny.
Just on principle alone of hanging out with Alan Dershowitz.
Yeah.
I'd be saying the same thing.
Yeah. And now, we talked a lot last episode about the people that are implicated in these files, and Elon Musk being one of them, who asked repeatedly to come to the island. And we made fun of him, we clowned on him, we said it's so funny that like he had to beg to come to the island, and Jeffrey Epstein didn't even find him worthy of someone being blackmailed with the kind of information that he would have on people that came to the island.
Crazy.
Right? But I can't believe we missed one of the most important statements to come out of this week of Epstein file releases.
Honestly, and I mean, this is an important statement because honestly, maybe it clears Elon. Maybe it clears him here. Like, I've frankly never thought of this before.
Elon had an interesting way to try to absolve him of responsibility from these Epstein files, and he's responding to Grok in this tweet.
Responding to your own AI is responding to
his own AI, and he said this. Elon Musk wrote on Twitter, quote, "If I actually wanted to spend my time partying with young women, it would be trivial for me to do so without the help of a creepy loser like Epstein.
Insane.
And I would still have 99% of my mind available to think about other things.
It would only take 1% of my brain power to become the pedophile king. What the hell are we talking about, dude?
I could be a pedophile all on my own if I wanted to.
I could be a pedophile so easy. Like, I could be the best pedophile ever. You guys don't even understand."
Yeah, and this tweet's a little bit of an admission because he says young women.
Yeah.
They weren't young women.
And everybody knows.
They were not young women.
Everyone knows when you're talking about Epstein, you're talking about children.
Yes.
Like, you are primarily talking about child sex trafficking, pedophilia, ephebophilia if you're Megyn Kelly. Like, come on now. Like, didn't Drake do some shit similar to this during the Kendrick beef?
In the song, The Hard Part 6, yeah.
And everybody clowned on him for it. We're replaying old hits that other people have done. Like, why is it when you get accused of being a pedophile, you go, I could be a pedophile so easy, but I don't even want to.
Yeah, because the Drake thing was like, oh, I'm too famous for that. I would have been caught already.
Yep.
And it's like, no.
Well, famously, there's a lot of very famous, rich, and powerful people who haven't been caught for that already.
Yeah, even if people like low-key know about it. But yeah, so that's an admission, I think, on top of the fact that this tweet itself is just deranged.
Yeah.
Like, I could still have 99% of my brain power to do other things. Like,
it's Reddit speak.
What? Yeah, he tipped his fedora.
He tipped his fedora.
Like, it's incredibly corny, and we can never let Elon Musk get away without knowing how corny he is.
And honestly, I am incredibly disappointed in us for forgetting to talk about this.
I know, this is the best one so far,
it's
man.
So good. It's been the best tweet in defense. Everybody else, they've put out like fake apologies. They've ignored it. They've tried to say like, no, I was never involved, despite the things we're seeing in the Epstein files. But Elon Musk is trying to pretend to say like, oh yeah, go prosecute everybody else. But also, I didn't do it because, I could be a pedophile on my own.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Today, we got some crazy shit to talk about. More Epstein news, some DHS funding news, and a whole bunch of extras at the end that some of you might usually tune out for, but I would ask you to stay this time.
I would implore you to stay. Some of our best work happens there.
Yeah, some of our best work happens, and we got some just like crazy, silly stories that don't necessarily fit into a full segment, but you'll still want to hear about them because they're pretty sick.
I think you should allow yourself a bit of brevity.
Yeah.
In these dark times right now. Because, this episode, you already know what we're going to talk about. We're talking about Epstein.
Yep.
Jeffrey Epstein, the man who never dies. And then we're going to talk about DHS funding because like we predicted on Monday, the government opened back up.
Just like last episode.
Just like last episode, we're replaying that news because that's the only thing you ever talk about. The three things that you talk about in 2026 in the news are pedophilia, war, and ICE. And just like murder. It's insane.
That's life now. But later on, we do have to talk about Kamala Harris reactivating her campaign account.
And that's why you got to stick around.
Kamala HQ is back, folks, and you'll want to hear all about that a little bit later on. But before we get into the episode, I will remind you and plead with you, beg with you, really. Become a patron.
Come on.
What are we doing?
Join
Become
the
a patron.
HOA.
Join the HOA. Help us buy a house in cash. You get early access to all of our stuff. And on top of that, you'd be helping independent media, and I know you want to do that.
Exactly. It's very important right now.
And commercial free.
Who else is doing this?
Exactly.
Who else is doing it like us?
Yeah, if you don't want to hear YouTube's like auto ads or Spotify's auto ads or even the commercials we insert ourselves.
Yeah, you can't get away from the ads no matter what platform you're on. Let me get this straight, other than Patreon.com.
Except for Patreon. Patreon has absolutely zero ads, uninterrupted HITO every time we release an episode, only over on Patreon. You can also join, you can subscribe to us on the Substack.
That's a good one.
You could subscribe to us on our second YouTube channel.
I would highly suggest you go do that.
And all the other socials are in the description. And lastly, if you want to help support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple. We got one on Apple and one from our Patreon.
Yep.
First one from Apple from Bisexual Next Door. We love a podcast that condemns political violence. Just discovered this pod from 2 quirked up white boys from the Socialist Republic of Michigan. Could have been. But seriously, as someone who lives and works in D.C., you guys keep me sane in a place that makes me often want to walk into the sun.
Yeah, living and working in D.C. right now has got to be crazy. Oh, also, let me know if you're white, do you get called a cracker while you're walking down every street like Benny Johnson says?
Shout out Benny
Johnson. Do you get stones thrown at you for being a cracker?
We have ads on the metro here for missiles and fighter jets.
Oh, my God.
And I see them on my work commute and want to scream. Love this OSHA compliant podcast. Thanks. That is crazy.
That's awesome.
Fucking Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, jet flying overhead while you're just sitting on the metro.
Just right in D.C., right in the heart of the nation's capital.
Yeah.
That's perfect in a way that I couldn't come up with on my own.
In case the lobbyists from Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and whatnot didn't have enough lobbying resources to get to you, you got to see their ads as well.
Well, precisely. Yeah, you go to work, you talk to a lobbyist who's trying to get to your boss. You leave work, you look at the lobbyist ad. You go home, you probably got a YouTube ad for the lobbyist. You can never get away from the lobbyist. Everything is lobbyist.
They're trying to break everything is lobbyist.
Everything is lobbyist. Ridiculous. This next review on Patreon from now it's my turn to mess up this name. Walter van der Vogelweide.
Real.
Also, I wrote this. The title is Best Podcast I've Ever Listened to While Being Stuck in a Blizzard. Hi, from Germany. I listened to this for the first time this week while driving home through a blizzard when I got stuck on a mountain and caused a traffic jam on this mountain in the freezing cold. I eventually got down and home after a chill 5-hour drive, but the podcast made it bearable. You're doing good work, even though you are from the USA. Yeah. Some of the Americanisms you use are a bit new to me, but I will learn to understand them. I condemn all political violence, all politicians, and American football. Fucked up.
Man, whatever.
During bowl week? Ridiculous.
Jared Goff is going to lead the proletarian revolution.
Yeah, you guys don't understand. When the revolution is born out of Michigan, Jared Goff will be at the head of it, and so will everybody else in the Lions organization.
We went 9-8 this season because he was trying to plan for it underground.
Well, exactly. He was so focused on reading theory.
Yes.
Jared Goff wasn't watching film because he was watching films about previous revolutionaries.
He was reading Lenin.
He was reading Lenin. He was reading Mao. He was reading theory. He was engaging with all of the greats that came before him.
Yeah.
So that he could one day rise up.
Speaking of theory, if you are watching on the YouTube today, or I guess the Spotify with video, you can see that we've got the bookshelf up. As we said, the set has changed every time and will continue to change until we are happy with it. And we got Capital Volume 1 next to the Kamala Harris book,
Theory,
107
folks,
days.
Theory.
Like, if anybody has ever told you that we're not bipartisan, just take a look at the bookshelf. That's bipartisanship right there.
There's enough bipartisanism right there in that 107 Days book than there is anywhere else in this goddamn country. The highest concentration of it on this bookshelf, let me tell you.
And I don't want to hear anything different. Getting into the news now, we gotta talk about Epstein.
Who else?
Just have to. It's just more Epstein stuff, man. And some of this was stuff that we might have missed from the Monday episode. Other stuff here is just like what's come out since. And we covered the broad strokes of the latest batch, but I want to take a look at the remainder of the information here because Jesus Christ, man, it gets even crazier. So
yeah, forgive us for only focusing on like the pedophile stuff that was happening on Pedophile Island because apparently you can't just have one vice.
Yeah, there's also like statecraft.
Yeah, apparently you have to be just the worst guy ever. Like you can't pick a lane when you're a bad guy. You just got to engage in it all.
So we talked about last time how this administration is essentially, and not just last time, but like throughout this entire Epstein controversy, this administration's been dedicated to hiding behind the idea of protecting the victims.
Yes.
They hide behind protecting the victims as a way to avoid having to release information that would implicate the predators. Of course, when the Epstein files was really popping off, we talked about how they redacted like hundreds and hundreds of pages of text, just black walls of text. And they said the justification for that was we're protecting the victims. And so one might have been forgiven if they didn't pay that much attention to this political scandal.
And also one might assume that the victims were clearly protected, right?
Yeah, one might be forgiven for thinking, okay, this administration is just being cautious. They just want to protect the information of the victims. Well, according to NBC, quote, attorneys for the group of survivors said the Justice Department instead committed what may be the single most egregious violation of victim privacy in one day in United States history. There were thousands of redaction failures on behalf of nearly 100 individual survivors.
That's insane. That's
100?
That's fucking crazy, dude. The Epstein Files release was already late. And I'm telling you right now, once again, the guy who said, love the torture video to Jeffrey Epstein, his name was redacted. So many names of people who were involved in like actual heinous things as described in emails were redacted. But not 100 personal identifying information for victims?
Yeah.
For 100 victims. You're kidding.
Yeah. Protecting the perpetrators and throwing the victims under the bus. Continuing with this NBC article, Jay Clayton, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, responded in a letter Monday that the department was working diligently to solve the problem and that, quote, has taken down several thousands of documents in media that may have inadvertently included victim identifying information due to various factors, including technical or human error.
Yeah,
so just admitting that several thousand documents gave away victim information.
Well, all those FBI agents who were pulling like crazy overtime trying to redact Trump's name, like what else were they going to do? Of course, they didn't have time to get to the victims' names.
Exactly.
They were too busy worrying about how are we going to get Donald Trump out of these files? How are we going to scrub his name from all these files?
Like they royally fucked this one up. Victim information simply was not protected. All this time that they spent refusing to release the full files because they wanted to protect victims' privacy, quote unquote. It was total nonsense. And also, like, we should say that the victims that have come forward publicly that have advocated for the release of these files have been calling for a full and transparent release.
Yeah.
Like, people that were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein, who have publicly spoken out against this entire scandal, have been saying, hey, release the files, unredact the perpetrators' names. We need to know who these guys are.
Yeah.
And this administration has been unwilling to do so, previously hiding behind this idea that they have to protect the victim's privacy, and now just completely giving the game away here by not doing that whatsoever.
It's absolutely insane. And I feel like I would expect nothing less. I think this has happened like every single time we've gotten an Epstein Files like trove.
Yes.
Every single time we've gotten a release of anything, even back when they were redacting 200 straight pages of documents in a row, we were still getting victim information leaked out of these things.
Yeah.
But the stuff about people they wanted to protect, airtight.
Airtight. I think I saw, and this was in like a CoffeeZilla video, I think. There was one document that was like an FBI document or a DOJ document. They were assembling a case in 2005 against Jeffrey Epstein and a number of other defendants.
Oh.
Again, in it was alleged on behalf of like a couple of minor victims, essentially. Yeah. And you saw Jeffrey Epstein's name, and then the rest of the defendants completely blacked out.
That's just like 2005. That's man. Literally like a client list right there.
Yes.
Like, is that not the closest you can get to a client list, but like a alleged client list of the thing? That's not like there had to have been something.
6 or 7 other names just blacked out.
There had to have been something that got those people's names right there next to Jeffrey Epstein. I'd like to know what that is, because I guarantee you probably the information that led to that was also redacted, or their names are redacted from whatever email or whatever allegation or whatever anonymous tip came through to them too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, and of course the DOJ never pursued those charges, which is partially why it was never made public, right? Yeah. It was a document that was assembled that was never used. But when you look at the emails between Jeffrey Epstein and others, and there's some shit where it's like, yeah, go ahead and kill this person. You start to think, okay, maybe this was buried for a reason.
And it's like someone else is telling Epstein to go kill these people.
Yes.
And Epstein is allegedly like orchestrating these killings of people on behalf of other people. Like, this is not the Ezra Klein. He was a pedophile and he was a power broker. And those were two separate lives kind of thing. He was doing all of this on behalf of people.
Yeah, yeah. Now, here, I do got to shout out CBS News for what people are calling maybe the worst media rebrand in history. Under Barry Weiss. So CBS News, under the direction of Barry Weiss, recently hired Peter Attia, one of those sort of like celebrity influencer kinds of doctors. And Peter Attia is quoted in the files in an email to Epstein saying, quote, "You know, the biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul."
That's genuinely insane.
And he was just hired as a contributor under Barry Weiss.
And it's like, sure, that's not like something that you could throw somebody and lock them up in jail strictly for. Maybe. I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
Right up to the goddamn line. We have so many communications of people, at least like we have Peter Attia and we have Donald Trump communicating with Jeffrey Epstein, the guy who was known for being a pedophile, at least right now, saying, I love the secret we share. What other secrets was the guy who was the secret pedophile keeping hidden?
They are just so brazen about this. And previously, Attia wrote in a book that he published a couple of years ago, I think, about a near-death experience that his son had that put his son into the ICU. And instead of going home, in that book, he wrote about how he essentially stayed working in New York. And now we know with the release of the files and like the timing of the emails, immediately the day following his son's hospitalization, he was making plans to meet with Jeffrey Epstein.
Dog, that's fucking crazy.
His son almost dies in the hospital back home, and he's meeting with Jeffrey Epstein the next day. come on. And this guy was hired under CBS.
He writes about it in his book of his own volition to try and say, no, but I stayed working for God knows whatever stupid fucking reason. That's crazy. That's already crazy to one, keep working instead of going to see your son after your son fucking dies. And two, to find out that it was to meet with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't think his son died, but like your son is hospitalized in the ICU. Your like child son
could have died.
And you say, no, I'm going to stay working in New York. And then we later find out it was because you wanted to go meet with Jeff Epstein.
Mr. Pedophile?
What? Like, that's crazy. In a very long apology post on Twitter, Atia wrote, quote, I apologize and regret putting myself in a position where emails, some of them embarrassing, tasteless, and indefensible, are now public, and that is on me. I accept that reality and the humiliation that comes with it. Essentially, I'm sorry you guys found out.
Embarrassing, tasteless, and indefensible is frankly like the least of what that email is. I'm sorry, but it's like Donald Trump wrote in that birthday card in the figure of what was a young woman.
You're an enigma.
Like, do you remember when we got the like leaks, the Washington Post story about like, oh, Donald Trump wrote this like crazy weird like poem narration, whatever, about Jeffrey Epstein inside the figure of a woman, and all of people's like guesses of what it would be with like inside like a woman with curves. Like
the Wall Street Journal drew like a mock-up of it. It was like what you would think a silhouette of a woman is. A woman,
right? Exactly, like full large featured and everything. And instead we get the actual thing in one of the Epstein files drops.
Yes.
And that is a child.
That's a child.
That's not a woman.
It's just like, it's so brazen. And like the whole like Alex Jones thing, and I got some words for the Alex Jones types later on in this episode, but so much of the conspiracies around Epstein focus on this, or just conspiracies about like globalism broadly, focus on like secret societies and secret languages to convey messages that it's really hard to unfold unless you're really paying attention. But in reality, they were just sending emails like, hey, kill this guy for me.
Hey, kill this guy for me. Or I love all our secrets, wink, wink, wink. Like, what are we talking about? Because that's the other thing about that birthday card is Trump's like, we have a beautiful secret to have. And Peter Attia's like, God, I love having this secret with you. What other secret could it be, dog?
Exactly.
Everything else they're just so open about, and they're even open about the pedophilia bullshit. Like, come on, they're just being cheeky.
Now, you might wonder if Peter Attia, this influencer doctor hired by Barry Weiss, is going to be fired, because this is damning information to come out. Even if you can't say, okay, this attributes some amount of guilt to him, right? At the very least, it's like, you were buddies with Jeffrey Epstein. That's just unacceptable. Post the 2008 conviction, I think it was. But from the LA Times, quote, Weiss is said to be opposed to cutting Attia, according to two people familiar with her thinking. Weiss spoke out against so-called cancel culture and does not want to be seen as reacting to the Epstein frenzy.
You cancel culture for Jeffrey Epstein. Cancel culture was for when influencers said the N-word in 2020. It is not for when people do literal sex crimes with children. That's just not that. And obviously, like, sure, Peter Attia, it's not 100% confirmed that happened, blah blah blah, there's an argument there, but like, he's not even like in his full role at CBS yet. He just got hired. It's like the easiest, like, actually we're rescinding this offer for blah 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 to let this blow over ever. But no, she wants to get on here and call this cancel culture. That's crazy. That is a very specific kind of just brain broken that you have to be to, like, one, be doing cancel culture in 2026, be doing the whole cancel culture grift and shtick or whatever in 2026, and two, to connect that to sex crimes.
Yeah, but you got to think, if Barry Weiss starts to fire everybody in her staff connected to Jeffrey Epstein, she'd have to clean house. Alan Dershowitz couldn't show up on CBS anymore.
Oh my God, yeah.
It wouldn't be fair. It just wouldn't be fair. We can't expect that.
It's crazy that the Dersh is still walking around.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Epstein's personal lawyer. Wasn't Alan Dershowitz the guy who got him on that like 2004 sweetheart deal?
I can't remember, but yeah, he was Epstein's personal lawyer for a long time.
Yeah, insane. Like, that's already like
we know
crazy.
that hasn't the Dersh argued like publicly for lower age of consent? Like, we know this guy.
A lot of guys do.
We know this guy's a criminal.
Honestly, now that there's so many conservative media figures that go around and do argue for lower age of consent. So they sit there like, oh, in theory, a 16-year-old. I'm not even gonna finish that because I'm not crazy Matt like Walsh, that. Yeah. Why don't we start looking up those names in the Epstein files and we can start finding some stuff?
You might think. In some much broader developments, and sort of as we alluded to at the beginning of this segment, Epstein had ties and connections to basically everything and everyone.
It's
and this
crazy how many ties this guy had his fingers in.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like surprising when you consider that a lot of what he was doing was power brokering through his trafficking of children, right? Like, that's pretty obviously what it was. But it is interesting to find out like exactly what he was doing and what like the kinds of things he was influencing. For example, he might have been responsible for the revival of Poll over on 4chan, which is essentially the online forum that has been for more than a decade the melting pot for right-wing slop. and right-wing ideology. Like, it really has permeated the entire right wing, and that's the sort of originator of it in its modern incarnation. Epstein also celebrated Brexit as a, quote, and this is from the emails, quote, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. That was in an email to Peter Thiel, the Palantir guy and
Classic.
JD Vance's mentor. He went further in his emails to Thiel and said, quote, you and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high.
Just come on.
And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain.
What?
Yeah. Literally like New World Order type shit.
Yeah, no, it seems like whenever these guys aren't talking about how cool it is to be a pedophile, they're talking about how to like make money off economic collapse or usher in a new era of like right-wing whatever.
Yeah, well, it's immediately obvious like these guys view sort of liberal democracy and liberal global trade to essentially be a failed project, and they are prepping to carve up the world after it collapses.
Yeah.
Like that's what Epstein was planning on doing in these emails. Like Epstein, Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, all the other like oligarchs essentially that are in our country now. That's what these guys are waiting for and expecting.
Alex Karp, that's Palantir guy, right?
Yeah, he's with Peter Thiel.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Peter Thiel
interesting. And he is he also in the files too?
I think Alex Karp shows up some places, but it's never as explicit as Peter Thiel saying like we have a secret together.
Birds of a feather.
Right, exactly. He also maintained a very close relationship with Steve Bannon, a sort of foundational right-wing populist figure. It really does seem like, I don't know, man. These guys are just like geeked to talk about the most evil things. And like I said, it's explicit.
Yeah.
None of it's a secret. They don't talk about it in like tongue-in-cheek language. It's just like, how do we ruin the world today?
It's not hidden behind coded language.
Yeah.
It's not even hidden behind like an encrypted messenger. They were doing this shit over email. It's not even Signal, like what the government uses to talk about war plans.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just regular emails talking about how they can carve up the world, talking about how they can do economic collapse and make crazy money off of your suffering, and also how they can do like untold amounts of individual suffering for their own personal gain.
Yeah.
These people just think the world is their plaything to do whatever they want with and have whatever they want with because they're rich.
Yeah, yeah. And they think they earned it. Like, they think they deserve to be in the place that they're at. And they're essentially, in these emails when he's talking about Brexit, or even like when he's having conversations with Ehud Barak, which is the former defense minister of Israel, I believe, like, he is essentially plotting to entrench himself in various nationalist projects as a way of like surviving the collapse of what he sees of the liberal order.
Well, it's crazy because like the emails were let's talk about how cool it is to be a pedophile.
Yep.
Let's talk about carving up the world and making money off of its collapse, and let's talk about like race science.
Yeah,
Like what is going on there?
Epstein was a Jewish supremacist.
Yeah, like pick a lane, buddy. Like you gotta be like you would think somebody who maxed out their stats in being the most evil in one thing couldn't possibly be doing numbers in other categories, but yet here he is.
Yeah,
this Epstein was like the most evil guy ever.
Yeah, no,
and we're learning that everyone else, like so many other people who were so powerful in society, just fucked with it, and are just like, okay, that's cool. We can make money here. Once again, wealth being like kind of the root of all of this evil.
Yeah, no, tons of people fucked with him. I can't remember who it was. It was a former Labour guy from the UK who was essentially just feeding him information from deep inside the British government.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's just like insane, and it's what we talked about last time, right? Like when you have this much wealth and this much influence, you can essentially subvert all accountability and all democratic control of like industry and stuff like that.
Nice.
By having this kind of insider information. And I do want to talk about like the right-wing response here. Obviously Trump has just avoided all questions. Like there's not really much to say about Trump other than he's like, maybe we shouldn't look into Bill Clinton now.
There's one point where Trump said, "Oh, what my people told me is that the files completely cleared my name." Wow, me when I'm Joe Biden and my staffers are lying to me.
When I'm Joe Biden. Exactly. But like, you would think that the Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes types would jump at this opportunity to use Epstein's global connections as like evidence of the Jewish plot, quote unquote, that they've been talking about taking over the world for like years at this point.
In any other instance that anything ever happens, and I mean from the most banal things to like war breaking out, there are always guys like Alex Jones, not even guys like Alex Jones, just Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes that come out and say it's the Jews that did this. The Jews are the root of all evil and the Jews are the ones doing this. And then Nick Fuentes does his fucking oven analogy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And like, again, Epstein was a Jewish supremacist. Like you see that in the emails.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I think the defining trait of these powerful people that are looking to carve up the world like post-liberal collapse, I think the defining trait there is just proximity to capital, right? Being the owning class. This is the kind of behavior that they're pushed towards doing. I don't think it has anything to do with their ethnicity, especially because dudes like Peter Thiel are fucking Christians, or at least they say that they are, right? And in fact, I think hyper focusing on like him being Jewish just obfuscates the actual power relations embedded within capital and sort of disguises the things that are causing the problem here.
But it's kind of like the conversation. What should be happening right now if the world was normal and if these people weren't the most evil, and I'm talking about like Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes, is we should be having conversations like, no, guys, the Epstein files isn't about the Jews, it's about this. But we don't even get to do that because all of these right-wing conspiracy theorists are ignoring the Epstein files because they don't want to talk about the uncomfortable reality of Trump and literally every big prominent conservative being in these files.
Right, that's what I'm saying is like this could be their like flagship moment where they plant their banner down and say, look, I was right about everything. Epstein's a Jewish supremacist and like everybody else is controlled by the Jews or whatever. But they're not doing that because, like you said, it implicates their guy. But it's crazy to see like a Nick Fuentes type defending Jeffrey Epstein, selling Jeffrey Epstein quarter zips.
That's insane.
What?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, of course, these guys believe in nothing. Of course, it was always a grift. They're maybe just being contrarian so they can make money. Everyone just wants to be a celebrity in this space. But it is crazy to see that what could be their moment isn't. It's just insane to me.
It isn't for obvious reasons. Like, they don't want to take it for obvious reasons. They just can't do it. And Nick Fuentes kind of surprises me there too. Like, it kind of surprised me that even he won't bite on this, but whatever. There are other reasons that that's going on.
Yeah. No,
fucking nuts.
I just think it's insane. It's just another reason why the leftist interpretation of Epstein is the superior one, right? And I don't say this to be like, oh, I'm always right about everything. But seeing all of Epstein's emails and him essentially affirming the right-wing belief about basically the entire global order in all of his emails makes me think like, okay, yeah, I was onto something at least.
It's like every conspiracy that was going on over the past years like turned out to like have a kernel of truth all in these Epstein files.
Yeah.
Like everything is just like here, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, it's not just because I want to like confirm my priors or because Epstein's beliefs were like clearly right-wing, even though like he called himself a Democrat or whatever being in New York. But like all of Epstein's associates were depraved capitalists, essentially hell-bent on dominating the world post whatever collapse they thought was imminent. And by some people focusing on like the Jewish component, that him being a Jewish guy, I think that it runs cover for the actual power dynamics playing out. I think anti-Semitism just covers for capital. Yeah. And that's why it's stupid. That's part of the reason why it's stupid, other than it being like just like a bigoted belief system. But like, I don't know, man. This shit's crazy. Everything is capital.
Everything is capital, and it seems like you give a dude enough money, and he just wants to be a warlord with concubines.
Yeah,
like that's what this is. You give enough dude enough money, they go talk to pedophile king, and then they like talk about carving up the world and like having sex slaves. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. It's we're supposed to be like past that. We're supposed to be past like world leaders being the most heinous people ever, but here we are.
Yeah, but like I mean, isn't this what power does, right? Like, not to be corny, but like power corrupts, right? And when you have power that is essentially unchecked, when you can literally just buy governments off or invite people that work within governments to come participate in your crimes, of course you're going to do crazy shit and believe you deserve it, right? Yeah. Like, I think like there was a piece that either I read or I was listening to earlier where some of like the agents that had done investigations into like his house, the New York estate or whatever, they thought that he had all those pictures out as essentially all the pictures of like, you know, Bill Clinton, Ehud Barak, Donald Trump, all that, as a way of saying to the victims like, look, I'm connected to all these guys. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's probably real.
It's a might makes right ideology. Yeah. And if that is like, again, same conversation as last week, if we allow wealth to be consolidated to this extent, it's always going to produce dudes like Epstein. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were more dudes like Epstein in the world right now and we just don't know about them yet. For sure. Because this is the world we've created.
Yeah, it sucks bad. And again, you cannot separate the emails talking about making money off global collapse, off of financial collapse, and off of people's financial ruin from the pedophile stuff. Obviously, they're two different crimes per se, but it's all connected. Like, they wouldn't be able to do this if they weren't rich. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to get away with any of this if they weren't all billionaires and connected to the most powerful people everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like, you can say like, oh, that's wrong, but their response would just be, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. Like, I don't care. I'm going to do it. Because again, it's might makes right.
What are you going to do? I own the DOJ. Merrick Garland's not investigating me.
Also, this may feel like a stray, but I feel like I got to say it. I feel like half the dudes that are in the Epstein files were also guests on Joe Rogan at one point. Like, you know, I had thought for a long time that Joe Rogan was kind of just a stupid guy, but now it feels like he might have been intentionally laundering their images, right? Like, so many of the guys that are still alive that were mentioned in those files have been on Joe Rogan repeatedly.
It's funny because it's like Joe Rogan, when he's not doing right-wing, like, slop politics, and honestly, there's a bit of overlap here. He's doing, like, a lot of, like, conspiracism. Like, he's doing a lot of conspiracy bullshit. Like, he's a part of this. And Joe Rogan is another figure who, like, engages in a lot of conspiracy theories, talks about, like, the people that are running the world, the people who don't want to do this. And once again, it's here and he's kind of silent about it. And he's had all these people on his show. Like, all of these people, I imagine a lot of these people he probably considers his friends. Like Peter Attia, all the other people. I don't know. I haven't watched Joe Rogan Experience in a while.
Peter Attia, Elon Musk, like, these guys have all been on Joe Rogan's show. And what before I thought was just like, okay, stupid right-wing grift is like, okay, is there something more sinister happening here? Like, I like making Mark Zuckerberg look like a normal guy is damning enough.
Yeah.
But now that he has like a consistent track record of inviting like people that were associated with Epstein onto his show, it makes me wonder if something more was going on. If I'm to do a little bit of conspiracy crafting, it's like, what are we doing here, dude?
That's funny. Because it is crazy. I think a lot of it is just like he's just getting like a lot of these guys are right-wing adjacent. And that's just kind of the space that he's lived in. Like, advertently or inadvertently, he's allied himself with a lot of people who have done a lot of bad shit.
Yeah, if at the very least, if I was Joe Rogan, I'd be doing some introspection. Like, maybe I fucked up here.
You're doing some damage control. Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, maybe I should not have these people on. Maybe I should talk about this. Maybe I should talk about the Epstein files a little bit more. Who knows?
It's just like I find it very hard to believe that was an accident.
Yeah.
Like, I want somebody to run the stats. Like, find the individual mentions of names that are, like, that sort of point in the direction of some kind of wrongdoing, and then run some kind of analysis to figure out how many of them appeared on Joe Rogan and how often.
Well, somebody just needs to put up, like, I saw, the first, like, stage of this. I saw somebody put up, like, the Joe Rogan Experience, like, thumbnail in the middle, connected to, like, the episodes with a bunch of people named in the files. Somebody needs to just expand that out and figure out how deep this web goes with Joe Rogan at the center.
Run a statistical analysis, man, because something's going on here. That's just
figure out how many times these people have been named, like the percentage of time these people have been named in the Epstein files compared to other people who are been named over, like, say 20 times in the files. Run those numbers and then run them compared to how many times that person has appeared individually on the Joe Rogan Experience.
25% of all Joe Rogan episodes have included members from the Epstein files.
If we analyze the data here, we see that if your name appears at least 25 times in the Epstein files, you're likely to have been on Joe Rogan 1.7 times over the past 10 years. Guys, I don't know.
Someone run the math. That's all I'm saying. I'm just noticing. I'm just asking questions.
Guys, I'm just pointing things out.
I'm just asking questions.
Maybe the cabal runs through the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yep.
You know, sometimes it just feels like all the news happens on Monday and Tuesday.
It's messed up.
But my favorite podcast drops episode on Wednesdays. I don't know what to do. It feels like they miss all of it.
That's a curse.
If only there was a platform that I could go to where I could listen to these episodes early, maybe when they record them. Do you have any thoughts?
Boy, do I have a solution for you.
Oh, do tell.
If you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod, you can listen to Head in the Office episodes before the curse of Monday and Tuesday news comes out.
Really? Do tell.
And you get access to commercial-free episodes. And everybody wants commercial-free episodes.
I bet there's also a whole host of other benefits and community engagement that they offer.
And friendship.
Very true.
Who doesn't want friendship?
The most important thing.
Absolutely.
In times like this.
Back to the episode. Anyways, that ends off the Epstein coverage, and now it's time to talk about maybe my favorite topic.
It's time to talk about my Democrats, guys.
Man.
What else would we be talking about? We talked about on Monday. We had a perfect prediction.
Oh my God. Didn't you say like 20 Democrats? I think you might have nailed it.
Some shit like, if I did, let me know in the comments below. Yeah. What can I say? We had a perfect prediction of exactly what was going to happen. And big shout out to the 22 Democrats, my Democrats, who voted with Republicans to pass the bill that would reopen the government. Really snaps to you guys.
Well, you know, they're just in tough districts.
They're in tough districts, guys. They're in battlegrounds. They have to do it because everybody cares so much about like individual votes that aren't like on the Epstein files.
Yeah, right now in this moment, they need to do the law and order stuff.
They need to do law and order when ICE is quite literally the one like group of people that are the most like unlawful, causing the most chaos in American streets. We really need to do law and order, guys.
We had some defections here from the Republican Party, right?
We did have some defections.
So it was another case of Democrat votes were instrumental in passing this again.
It's actually hilarious because there were 22 Democrats that voted with Republicans to pass this and 21 Republicans that voted with Democrats to kill it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that, it's like convenient how that always happens this way, right? Like every single time it happens.
Yeah, I think the margin was like 3 extra Democrats voted for it. And I mean, guys, they were probably just in really tough districts, guys. If I'm echoing the words of my favorite president, Barack Obama, law enforcement has a tough job.
I'm not an emperor. I'm not an emperor. I just have to brutalize people in the streets.
We're a nation of law and order, and that's why I gotta let people die in ICE detention. We're a nation of law and order. That's why I have to treat the people who try and come here incredibly harshly. Shout out my Democrats, man, because you know what else could you do with this party other than just accept it?
Yeah, no, man. I am so down on them right now.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like there's not much else to say about the shutdown thing that we didn't say last episode. The only thing is that this was entirely predictable. It was just, we predicted it. It was predictable. I think everyone knew that this was going to happen. Even before we had that like Schumer-Trump deal, we still had 7 Democrats that voted to just fully fund DHS in the first place. It was never going to be a thing.
Yeah.
This was never going to be a thing.
Yeah, man. We got to primary these people, but that's probably not going to happen. There's just too many of them, and the establishment's
too many
powerful,
of them, too many Ken Martins that are going to be like, no. We can't possibly try and primary this guy in a safe blue district.
Yeah. I guess now it's sort of up to seeing what kind of concessions they will get, and I know that we have a lot to talk about here.
Funny word.
But I don't think anything's going to... Guys, hot take, I don't think much is going to change.
Yeah, if we're to make another prediction, since we're on a hot streak right now, I don't know if they're going to really get anything out of this, right? Because what can you get? This whole deal is centered on passing like the budgets for every other like administration in the government except for DHS and kicking the can down the road 2 weeks. So it's a 2-week stopgap funding for DHS. Every other function of the federal government is funded until like close to the end of the year. I don't know exactly what month. So what can you get with 2 weeks of negotiations that you couldn't have gotten right now or like during the government shutdown in the first place?
And like, call me crazy, but I feel like like we said last week or last episode, by kicking it out an additional 2 weeks, you just kill all of the public momentum and anger behind what could have been a negotiation for concessions.
Especially because now, like, I've seen people, I'm not a distraction politics fan, but like, this is the one time where I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense. I've seen people say like part of the reason why the Epstein files were like released at this time was so that they could take some of the heat off of Alex Peretti and Renee Nicole Good. And if I'm going to give distraction politics one thing, it would be this. Because it does make sense that the administration is in control of these Epstein files. They don't want to talk about ICE anymore. They're going to release a little bit and at least kick the can down the road on that one. Everyone's kicking cans down the road. Everyone wants to duck accountability for something and just go to another.
It'd be a really funny way to distract, though, by being like, yeah, the government just killed someone, but look, the president's a pedophile.
Look, I'm a pedophile. Yeah, no, I still don't like 100% believe in it, but it's like, okay, I guess I could maybe give you this one. Maybe I could give you this one because it kind of lines up because people are talking about Epstein more than they're talking about ICE right now, at least regular people.
But I mean, like, this is like our life now, right? It's just like ICE kills someone, Epstein files. ICE kills someone, Epstein. Like, that's just... I think that's just this year. War. Maybe war with Iran.
War with Iran. There's more news. I couldn't even dive into the news on that because I got to look at the Epstein files and I got to look at the parts I didn't look at in the Epstein files because there's 3 million fucking documents and everybody's still trying to connect all the pieces.
Yeah.
And there's missing pieces. So it's we can't finish the puzzle.
I saw, again, speaking of like protecting victims and whatnot, the DOJ's been uploading some pages with redactions and then a copy of the same page with no redactions.
Awesome, dude.
So somebody just fucked up.
We have
multiple
the
people,
most competent people are running our government.
Most transparent government of all time.
True.
Most transparent administration.
Well, I would say their redactions are transparent, but they're clearly not. They are the most opaque things ever when it comes to people who love torture videos. Crazy work.
You cannot redact that name, man.
I don't think whoever did that can ever be forgiven. I'm a big fan of like accountability looks like changing your future actions. Accountability looks like looking into yourself and realizing that you made a mistake and changing the future. Not for that guy.
Yeah.
Not for that guy. I think you are the one unforgivable person.
Anyways, DHS.
Yeah. Back to DHS funding. I think like I don't think it makes sense. I don't think you're going to get anything in 2 weeks of negotiations that you couldn't have gotten now with more leverage, right? Because they gave up leverage doing this. Like they gave up leverage on keeping the rest of the government shut down. And I think that this would arguably be like the most defensible government shutdown ever.
And the most doable one. Like obviously they're not going like... I mean, I think there might have been a possibility to extract the ACA subsidies, to get those back, had they held out a little bit longer until the centrist caved. Maybe Schumer was involved, maybe he wasn't, right, back last year. But this time, this requires no money.
Exactly.
To say no masks, body cameras, like the fucking stupid-ass milquetoast reforms. But, like, this stuff does not require however many billions of dollars the ACA subsidies did.
Well, also,
this feels like an easy one to get.
When it comes to messaging, it's the most messageable shutdown ever.
Yeah.
Gotta be. I swear, when you're talking about the ACA subsidy extensions, right? That's a hard thing to communicate. They did the healthcare thing, it was working, but like when you go and talk to a regular person and you're explaining like the ACA, Obamacare, extending Obamacare subsidies and all this stuff, there's a couple like layers you got to get through to have a conversation about this. When it comes to shutting down the government over ICE and what ICE is doing and the accountability measures on ICE, you got to lay up right here. In the past month alone, 2 citizens were killed because of ICE's operations. Everyone except for right-wing sycophants thinks that ICE is out of control right now. Incredibly easy to harness that anger and say, you know what? If the government isn't working, we're shutting it down and we're going to get some accountability out of this.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I mean, they've already sort of picked a couple of things, but pick 3 substantive reforms and shut down the entire government. But of course, they got to make sure the money gets to Israel.
Of course. Yeah, we got to fund the State Department to give $3.3 billion more to Israel.
That's not the only thing, but like, yeah, if you would have shut down the entire government, it would have been the most messageable thing of all time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's like, Republicans already owned the shutdown over the ACA battle, right? Like they already own that. Polling bared that out. This is incredibly easy to put on Republicans. Make Republicans own the shutdown so that you can, 1, get whatever accountability measures you want, focus on whatever it is, and 2, use the increased coverage that comes with a government shutdown to raise the public profile of the ICE issue.
Exactly.
That's something that Democrats are allergic to, frankly. I swear, even with the ACA subsidy fight, they didn't even do a good enough job of using the shutdown and the coverage that came with that to raise the profile of the ACA issue. When the government is shut, nobody likes it when the government shuts down. Everybody hates it. It makes things run worse. It makes government run worse. People lose trust in the government. They don't like it. It's not a good situation.
Right.
But what that brings is news coverage. Everyone is talking about a shutdown when a shutdown happens. I remember when the government shut down under Obama when I was in 5th grade. I remember talking about that with my friends in the hallways on the way to computer lab. Like, guys, the government shut down. What the hell does that mean? It's an issue that breaks through. If that broke through to me when I was in 5th grade, certainly this would break through to people right now when ICE is killing people in the streets.
Yeah, and like it might still a bit if DHS does eventually shut. I don't think it will. I don't think they'll even shut down DHS.
I don't either.
But if DHS did shut down, like you would feel it at like TSA, for example, right? The airports would get a little bit slower, especially if it goes on for a long amount of time. But yeah, like when you shut the government down, people start to get frustrated. They figure out why, and then you can just say they don't want to unmask their agents, right? Easy peasy.
Yeah.
It's right there. All we're asking for is no masks on agents, no matter what. And the Trump administration won't do that. They want to, keep their Gestapo agents anonymous rather than fund the government.
And it's like a government shutdown like this is a phenomenal opportunity to make literally like the apparatus of American politics kind of grind to a halt and focus on this one individual thing that you're doing. You make it so that Republican senators and Republican representatives cannot ignore what's going on here. When they go back to their districts, they cannot ignore this. When the local news asks them about it, they cannot ignore this because that's what they're being asked about. They're being asked about ICE. They're being asked about whether or not they will accept that ICE needs to be held more accountable. And then they'll be on record doing whatever. Democrats love getting people on record doing things.
And like this isn't even like for all my Law and Order Democrats out there, my Democrats, this is not like that serious of a reform. Like we're talking like a minor policy win.
Yeah, exactly.
And like the most useful thing that Chuck Schumer has laid out among like his like 3 or 4 ideas for this negotiation, the most useful one, at least for activists, is masks, right?
Because I think it's masks and warrants.
Yeah, and because then we can slow down ICE at least a little bit and identify people.
Yeah,
which immediately makes them less dangerous because they're going to be less certain of being able to get away.
Exactly, they're not going to feel as emboldened to just beat the shit out of anybody that looks at them wrong.
Yeah, this is a minor policy win. It requires basically no taxpayer dollars. All you got to do is argue for that, but they gave up their leverage for no reason.
But my Democrats. And what we're talking about giving up leverage, like that's a very important part of this.
Yeah.
One, before we even talk about what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks, which who fucking cares? It's going to pass anyway. Nothing's going to happen. I'm low-key dooming on the accountability measures even coming through because there were 7 House Dems that voted to fund DHS in full anyway before the Schumer-Trump 2-week deal.
Yeah, they got their votes in the House to just pass it anyways.
So it just goes back to the Senate, and we're in the exact same situation we were on January 30th, but this time there's even less leverage. All the leverage is in the Senate. That's how it's always going to be. That's how it always was. But now you don't even have shutting down the State Department. You don't even have shutting down whatever other thing was bundled with DHS funding because it's just about DHS funding now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not going to get much policy-wise, I don't think, but we might get some more front-facing videos from Cory Booker.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that itself is a win, right?
With crazy room noise in the background, videos noise, nobody wants to watch or listen to.
A cut every 2 seconds, can't speak uninterrupted for shit. Yeah, we're going to get some of those, I bet.
I bet we're going to get Hakeem Jeffries coming out and being like, oh yeah, Democrats are aligned on this, when they're not. Because, if you've been listening to the news, you've seen Hakeem Jeffries say, yeah, Democrats don't want this. If this comes back to the House, Democrats aren't going to vote for this, as he's allowed his caucus to vote for this.
Yeah, he's not whipping votes.
No, I think this entire thing makes Jeffries look even weaker than he did before.
Well, and I think it goes back to what Alyssa Slotkin said during the Kilmar-Borrego Garcia controversy, right?
Yeah.
We remember when they were trying to forcibly deport him, or they did forcibly deport him, and Alyssa Slotkin essentially said, this isn't the issue we want, but I guess we'll fight for it. I think that's how they felt about most things. Healthcare was the one thing I think they maybe felt comfortable fighting about, even though the centrists fucking gave up at the end. But everything else, all the other major issues like Venezuela, various foreign wars, or now the mass deportation scheme and ICE killing people, they don't want to have to talk about ICE agents in a negative way.
Well,
they have no idea how to do this because they've completely conceded on this idea that we need some kind of militarized immigration enforcement.
I think Democrats are still just broadly fucking traumatized about defund the police, which I think is stupid, and I think isn't fucking real anyway. Took back the trifecta, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of arguments you can make. But I think they're so self-conscious about not being perceived as law and order, like conservatives are, that they don't want to do anything to limit any law enforcement agency, even though ICE isn't law enforcement in the way that regular median voters think of law enforcement. It's immigration enforcement, which they don't even really understand in general.
Yeah, you could go hard as hell against ICE agents and still do your stupid virtue signals to the police.
100%.
That's the easiest slam dunk of all time.
And they've been kind of doing that already, just do it harder, I guess.
They just, it seems like they're kind of lost, deer in headlights type shit, which is how they've been the entire time, this entire administration. But it's they don't, it just feels to me like they have no idea how to talk about an issue like this. Same with Venezuela, same with the various other things like Iran and stuff. They
low-key fuck with it.
They want to do the war hawk, law and order, strong on the border type virtue signaling, but they can't do it because the moment demands them to be critical of those positions.
Yeah.
And they just fundamentally can't.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of Democrats are looking at the situations going on right now, looking at the war with Venezuela, looking at the things with ICE, and they're well, I kind of fuck with it, just not like that though.
Yeah, let me just confirm all of the premises and then look stupid as hell when I try to reject the conclusion.
Yeah, let me confirm all of the premises and then try and give you an elaborate reason why I would do it better, but kind of the same though.
Yeah, because it's the same thing with Maduro, right? When Ruben Gallego was oh, we have to be in favor of this Maduro thing. Well, how can you say I'm in favor of everything he did, but I don't like how he did it, or I don't like the conclusion that it brought us?
That's
to.
why no one fucks with you.
Exactly.
Everyone thinks you're stupid, and this is why.
You gotta reframe. They can't do it, or they don't want to do it. I don't know what it is, but Jesus Christ, man, my Democrats.
That's the rhetorical part of it. But even when it comes to just the Democrats in the House, I do think this whole situation makes Hakeem Jeffries just look weak as hell.
Yeah,
he has been saying repeatedly, oh, he and the Democrats are opposed to funding ICE whenever without calls to substantively bring accountability measures to the agency, right? But after the House voted to end the shutdown, after 21 Democrats voted with Republicans to end the government shutdown and do this 2-week stopgap funding measure for DHS, Jeffries said the following: Democrats are united in our commitment to compel substantial reform at the Department of Homeland Security. You're not. There are literally 21 Democrats that voted against the party with Republicans. That's just wrong.
Democrats are united. Just ignore, a quarter of our caucus.
Yeah, Democrats are united. Just ignore the significant amount of people that broke with the party to vote with Republicans here. But that's just one part of the statement. He then goes on to say, quote, dramatic changes such as a mask ban, judicial warrant requirement, independent investigations when agents break the law, use of force protocols, mandatory body cameras, and an end to targeting sensitive locations like houses of worship, schools, and hospitals must be part of any full year appropriations bill. When that's mostly fine, right? When he talks about those accountability measures, sure, whatever. I'm not here to litigate that right now. Some of those are good. Some of those are whatever, specifically body cameras. I don't give a shit about body cameras. I think they're stupid. What I want to zero in on is when Hakeem Jeffries, when he says things like must happen, when he says this must happen, I just don't believe him.
Yeah.
I believe that Hakeem Jeffries wants those things to happen. I believe that most Democrats want those things to happen. But I don't believe that Hakeem Jeffries, as the leader of the party, thinks that those things must happen.
Yeah.
Because he's not whipping his party. He's not getting his caucus together to vote as a block against this thing.
Yeah, I've seen no evidence that he's actually whipping votes.
No.
If he was whipping votes, then he would come out and at the very least criticize the members who voted against it, right?
100%.
There just is no, I don't know. I don't see what the fuck they're doing.
Like, he's just fucking lying.
Yeah, that's I find it hard to articulate, but like, you're just making shit up, man.
Like, there's not much analysis here, because I think, like, why would you come out here and say that Democrats are unified on the issue when they're not?
Yeah.
Like, you've kicked the can down the road, and now it's going to rely on the Senate, because your House Democrats will vote to fund DHS in 2 weeks' time when the measure comes up again, because that's what they did in the past when it was more restrictive, and that's what they just did now when it was less restrictive. There's no doubt in my mind that House Democrats are going to vote with conservatives to pass this, or at least a small, not insignificant portion of them will do that. That is not a unified caucus. That is not your Democrats being unified. Those are my Democrats.
Yeah, and like, it's good to see them at the very least come out with something. Like, I know the bar is absolutely,
of course,
but it's nice to see them have a couple of things that they want to see accomplished. It's just like, again, we got to be building up the rhetorical power behind stuff like abolishing ICE. Like, if we don't start doing it now, then it's just, we're not going to get there. And I know a lot of these Democrats just don't want to do that, but like, again, it's the only way to really reframe the debate around a different set of principles that aren't, maybe we should be brutalizing immigrants. Because if that's the argument, if that's the grounds upon which we're arguing, the right wing's always going to win, because they're always going to be tougher than you are.
Of course.
They're always going to be willing to take it further. I mean, they're doing a fucking ethnic cleansing campaign right now.
Mass deportation now signs at the RNC. Donald Trump saying immigrants are poisoning the blood of this nation. Just Hitler talk.
Yeah,
they talk like Hitler or school shooters exclusively.
You're not going to do better than them. And so while like these basic reform, like I get they can't abolish ICE right now. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
Even if the entire Democratic Party got behind this idea, we got to abolish ICE, there would never be enough Republicans in this Congress to go for it, because Republicans control both chambers. But I would like to see more people building up the rhetorical power behind that, or the rhetorical, at least like public support behind it. And I don't see it happening, man.
Yeah, and that's why it's so frustrating to just see Hakeem Jeffries get out here, the leader of the House Democrats, and just do empty virtue signals.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the demands for accountability are virtue signals, but like, it kind of feels like it.
Well, half of the stuff they're just going to ignore.
Half the stuff they're just going to ignore, and you're not showing that the party is unified behind this. I get most Democrats want these things to happen. Most Democrats aren't putting their name behind votes to pass DHS funding right now, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And enough are to get these passed. And I know margins are slim, but margins aren't so, like, you can't excuse 21 Democrats voting for this.
Well, margins
I'm sorry.
The margins are always perfectly aligned to pass the bill.
100%. If it wasn't going to be 21, it was going to be 4.
Like I wasn't born yesterday. Like, I can see what's happening here. I saw what was happening with the centrists. A perfect collection of centrists that aren't up for re-election in 2026 come together and vote to end the shutdown last year. Yeah. Like, come on, man. I see what's going on.
Exactly. But what's also so frustrating about something like this, what's so frustrating about the Democrats are unified comment, is that what these 21 Democrats did is actively undermining the work of every other Democrat in the legislature. And even people like us who go out here and just trying to raise awareness about the issue are undermined by these Democrats, by the 21 Democrats who voted to opening up DHS and allowing this to happen, not putting their foot down when it comes to ICE accountability. And it makes all of the other Democrats look weak too. It weakens the entire party when you can't get these people in line and draw a red line when it's a moral issue.
Yeah, people love to say that we just like to hate on Democrats for the sake of doing it. And like, sometimes,
I mean, it's kind of fun.
But here, like, it is other Democrats that are sabotaging the strength of the party as a whole by defecting like this. Yeah. Because they could have stopped it had they not voted the other way.
And it's a problem that's been going on forever. And I mean, we've been doing the podcast for 4 years. So it's like 4 years that I've been incredibly like tapped into what's going on. So I'm going back to Build Back Better. I'm going back to Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Because of what Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, Maggie Hassan, and the other Democrats who killed $15 minimum wage did, Democrats lost. Because those 3 Democrats went and did that, because they couldn't be whipped to vote for something that was good, something that the party was aligned with, they lost and they were weakened. People think Democrats can't get anything done. And it's true. Democrats can't get anything done because they allow people like them into their ranks. And yes, there's always going to be this balance between winning power and using power, right? We're always going to need to have some maybe more conservative Democrats to bolster the caucus to do things. But when margins are tight, they make it harder for Democrats in the future to do anything because they undermine the entire party, and the rest of the party allows them to do that. They hide behind bipartisanship, and they do these fake fucking virtue signals that literally nobody cares about. and make themselves look weaker.
Yeah, and like the argument, sort of like you alluded to, often from the more like ideological Ezra Kleins and stuff like that, is like, oh, if we don't have Joe Manchin and we don't have Kyrsten Sinema, then there is no Senate majority post 2020, and we don't get anything done anyways. And like, yeah, okay, but to that I would say, look where we are now.
Yeah.
Like, because those people were a part of the coalition, the Democratic Party was unable to make enough progress, which would have enabled them to hold a coalition together and not lose to Trump in 2024.
Yes.
So like, I mean, if we look at where we are now, I would say the Democrats failed anyways.
Yeah.
This is one thing that pisses me off about the Democrats, man. They don't ever like publicly shame, especially people in leadership. Like when Chuck Schumer makes terrible decisions, I don't see a single Democratic senator get out there and say Chuck Schumer should not be the leader.
Yeah.
Like they just don't do it. And I don't know why. Like
they
why,
need to.
Like why are especially the left flanks, like people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Well, I guess, Bernie caucuses with them as an independent, but like, why are the people further on the left so unwilling to say, yeah, Chuck Schumer's got to go? Mm-hmm. I don't get it.
I don't either. It's fucking ridiculous. And like you said earlier,
the centrists get to act up and not fall in line and throw tantrums whenever they want. But the people further on the left always fall in line.
Oh yeah, they're endlessly coddled.
It's
like honestly, the further right you are, the more coddled you are by Democrats.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then the further to the left you are, the more they want to fucking kill you and stone you. Like that's genuinely how it feels sometimes. The way that we're treated like children for wanting, I don't know, like genuine like change, for wanting good things to happen because they're good and bad things are bad. And then Republicans get to have their like reputations infinitely recycled whenever they say, guys, I think Trump did something wrong this one time.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It's stupid.
The Democrats could, in the Senate, force a leadership change if they wanted to for the minority leader, but they don't do it. I haven't seen a single one call for it.
Yeah, and I got to go back to something you said earlier. Something we say here all the time is that we are here. We are in this position with the legislature because Democrats refuse to push their own narratives and constantly choose to run on watered down conservative rhetoric.
Yeah.
That's all they fucking do every single time. That's what we saw in 2024 with Kamala Harris saying she was going to be stronger on the border than Trump. Give me a fucking break. That's the type of shit that makes me want to put a gun in my mouth. Like, are you serious?
Like you gotta have an agenda. And for us, it's going to be like left-wing economic populism, right? Or at least that's the thing you lead with. There's other things you should talk about as well. But then you build up you build up public opinion onto your side. You get the public support, and then you lead with the force of the people. When centrists stand in the way, you say, look, I got elected on that majority. You are standing in the way of what the people elected me to do.
Yeah.
And when centrists want to get in the way, you again publicly shame them and push them around. Like I don't know, man, that's politics.
That's politics.
And my Democrats are not willing to do it.
Yeah. No, politics, like Democrats are only willing to be like unfair to progressives.
Yeah.
And give infinite charitability to conservatives. And it's just that Democrats constantly let conservatives set the narrative. And they constantly let conservatives set the terms of the conversation. And it just has to end if we want anything good to happen. Yeah. They need to stop accepting conservative framing on every single issue. They need to stop accepting conservative framing on the trans issue. They need to stop accepting conservative framing on the border. Like, it's fucking ridiculous that Democrats have allowed conservatives to convince the average everyday American that illegal immigrants come here and commit like heinous crimes all the time and that's all they're here to do.
Migrant crime.
It's just not true. It's just not true. They need to stop with the law and order bullshit. Yeah. And I'm not saying I want a society in chaos. I'm not saying I want a society that doesn't have laws and has laws that go unenforced. What I am saying is that they need to stop letting conservatives fucking lie.
Well, no, and it's the rejection of this idea that we need militarized police forces or immigration officers to make a safe society.
Yeah.
Like ICE, as we can see, as I think everybody would agree to, at least like on the Democratic side, ICE is not making Minneapolis or other cities in which they operate more safe. Like these things, and like even the way we talk about the border, like border security from who, dog? Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. Like, immigrants just aren't a threat to us. It's not true.
No, exactly.
And to the extent that an immigrant might commit a crime, they'll just face the law like anybody else, and maybe deportation is a punishment for that crime if they're not like a citizen that lives here. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really that simple. Immigrants just aren't a problem. And like you said, Democrats have allowed the conversation to slip so far that people have a hard time even imagining not having tanks rolling down the street and brutalizing immigrants. Like it got so bad in 2024 that Kamala Harris was like, he didn't even build the border wall. Like, I'm sorry, man, we've lost the fucking plot. And I need someone to get out here and say immigrants are not the problem, the rich are.
Like, there's an ideological rot there.
Yeah.
Like, there's like something is just going wrong. You no matter what fucking polls you're looking at to say that people care about the issue, something went wrong way before that point for you to even utter those words.
Yeah, and I think like at the end of the day, I don't think it's just like rhetorical flops or they're just bad at messaging. I think a lot of Democrats just don't give a shit about immigrants.
No.
Like,
Well, I think they are just conservative light.
If they did, they wouldn't have made this many mistakes. And I think that's evidenced by sort of sentiment or support of immigration increasing, like we've said so many times, increasing over the course of the Trump administration, the first one, and then absolutely plummeting when Biden took office and kept doing all the same Trump policies. Like, I don't know, man. If you actually gave a shit about immigrants, why'd you just give up the rhetoric?
Yeah, no, literally. And I don't want to keep just talking about like the usual issues we talk about with Democrats. I want to put this back in like the context of the shutdown fight. And I want to do that to say, like, if these Democrats, if the House, because you know the excuse they're going to give is that, oh, how would I go back to my district and say I voted to shut down the government, blah, blah, blah. If these Democrats, these House Democrats, are so worried about going back to their districts and facing attacks from Republicans, say, in their primaries later this year, and the Republicans saying, oh, this person voted to shut down the government, I think you need to just stand on fucking business. Like, I'm sorry. I think you just need to do it and stand on business because the issue is bigger than that. If they're so worried about appealing to Republicans in their swing districts, then they need to say that they would not allow a rogue big government agency to run around U.S. streets and bully and terrorize citizens and non-citizens alike.
Yeah, you can even focus group it if you want.
You can focus group it.
Come up with a way to justify it.
You can talk about it in a conservative way without making it a conservative issue. You can talk about it like still recognizing that ICE is ridiculous, still recognizing we should abolish ICE, and frame it with the same big government slop that conservatives use to convince other like median voter conservatives on the ground. You can do that, but Democrats are so unwilling to do it. And that's part of what we mean by just reframing the narrative. Stop letting conservatives set the terms. Take whatever fucking virtue signals they use and use it for yourself and actually have good policy attached to them, right? That's what you need to do. And if for some stupid fucking reason, those swing district voters won't vote for you because you voted to shut the government down, as if that's something the median voter ever actually cares about when it comes to election time.
No, dude, the median voter's like, where my health care at?
Exactly. If that's ever something they care about, then that district was always going to be Republican in the first place. You were never going to win as a Democrat, and you were going to have to be a Republican anyway, and that's not worth it. Like I'm getting
you just
to the
have
point,
to vote like one.
Like I'm getting to the point where I genuinely like. It's becoming hard for me to believe that like just having that extra number is better.
Right, because what does it do?
It's
right?
not
like what is the substantive difference between having Joe Manchin and not if we get to this place anyways? Like we had Joe Manchin, what the fuck was it for?
It's just
so
like,
even of the shit that Joe Biden passed, like the infrastructure deal, for example, like a lot of that money was never spent because they moved so slowly, and now isn't going to be spent because Trump is in charge. So like what does it matter if we can't create the conditions necessary to hold the coalition together because of dudes like Joe Manchin? Like at the end of the day, we got to think longer than just the 2-year cycles or the 4-year cycles.
Because that's what it is. It's short-term game for long-term failure. Because again, it undermines the party. All of this shit undermines what the Democrats are, what the Democrats at least say they want to go out there and do, and that's why voters don't fuck with them. That's why the only time people want to vote for Democrats is when Republicans fuck up bigly. And that's just straight up how the situation is. And again, like I gotta ask, I'm talking about the median voter. Does the median voter actually, I'm genuinely asking this, does the median voter actually give a shit about individual votes that people take in Congress outside of the big ones like the Epstein Files Transparency Act?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. We talk about like, oh, X person didn't vote for the PRO Act. I've never heard anyone talk about that before. I think the PRO Act is a very important thing. I think the PRO Act should pass. I think it's a good piece of legislation, but you can't really message on this person didn't vote for legislation. That's why I don't think you can message on this person voted to shut down the government when these are the stakes for the government shutdown.
I think it matters for like the big ones, right?
Like Epstein.
Or other big landmark pieces of legislation. Because like the commercials will come out and be like, so-and-so voted to raise your healthcare bills, shit like that.
But like shit like this?
But like, no, shit. This is, again, like you said, the easiest thing to justify ever. They killed 2 people. I should say they killed 2 Americans. They've killed many more people aside from Americans. But because white Americans only care about white Americans, they killed 2 white Americans, and that's easy to justify to your white district that might lean conservative.
100%, dude. And it's like, to me, it also like just looks like when I look at elections that the median voter votes for the person, the candidate that they think will make their life better. And right now, making people's lives better is genuinely abolishing ICE. Like, I'm not serious. Everyone is affected by this issue. This is far-reaching, whether or not you're physically affected or not, right? It sucks that all this is happening. You can justify the government shutdown. You can justify voting for the government shutdown by messaging on the fact that everybody everybody despises ICE right now.
Yeah.
It's like they got to be like the most unpopular thing ever.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's looking at, even Trump looks at the videos and he's like, guys, we might have gone a little too far.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, there's like multiple arguments for it. The main one, though, is just like they're fascists. they're doing awful, evil shit that we shouldn't allow them to get away with. We should deconstruct the instruments of fascism when we can. But again, the one that's most important for me long term is that abolishing ICE rejects this idea that we need to have tanks rolling down the street in order to enforce immigration law.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need ICE. We don't even need the fucking Department of Homeland Security. That shit didn't exist until 2003.
For real.
Who cares?
For real.
Like, it's not a real thing. DHS, the creation of DHS was just an extension of like the Patriot Act shit, the expansion of the executive branch to have even more power over the American homeland.
Yeah, I can barely imagine a world where I don't have to take my shoes off at the airport.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and I know it's changing now, but
we don't need DHS as a whole. But like, I get it. Nobody's gonna run on abolishing DHS. We definitely don't need ICE. There's just no fucking reason.
Absolutely
for it,
not.
Immigration law should just be fucking paperwork in courts.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And that's why abolish ICE needs to become the moderate position, because right now ICE is making everyone's lives miserable in myriad ways. Last year, ICE tied a record for the number of people who died in ICE detention. 2 citizens were shot and killed in Minneapolis last month in January alone. People don't feel safe walking around because like literal mass thugs are parading the streets and beating the shit out of anyone who looks at them wrong.
And not even just Minneapolis, right? These other cities as well, including Detroit. Like, there are people in Detroit who feel like they cannot go to the grocery store because of ICE.
Exactly.
Like, they're afraid for their safety.
All of this carnage that is happening at the hands of ICE and ICE alone, well, ICE and CBP and everyone associated with the mass deportation operation alone, is rightfully in everyone's face all the time. As it should be. This shouldn't be something we're able to like look away from because it's happening everywhere, right? No one can escape the horrors that ICE is subjecting the population to, even if they aren't facing immediate physical harm. It's depressing. And stay with me for this point, but to the privileged median voter who otherwise doesn't have to deal with like this, that matters. The fact that this depresses them, the fact that they're like, oh man, when they open up their phone and every time it's another person beaten by ICE, a pastor shot by ICE, a goddamn toddler tear gassed by ICE, that makes them be like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, I don't like that. Regular people don't want to think about politics. And whether, I think that's bad writ large, but the fact of the matter is that's the position that we are in right now. That is just a reality we have to contend with. But in this instance, I think it can be used for good. Regular people don't want to have to think about how a guy in a not one guy, not 2 guys, not 3 guys, but like 20 guys in a mask can show up in their neighborhood, bust down the door of your neighbor, and rip somebody out of their home violently.
Yeah.
They don't want to think about that. They shouldn't have to think about that. You can capture that and you can message on that. And that's how you take abolish ICE if you want to be a fucking moderate Democrat about it.
Yeah. And like, you bundle the sentiments together because like you said, people are seeing these videos and the videos are fucking egregious. I think the polling was something like 80% of the country saw the Renee Nicole Good video.
Yeah.
You take that, people being angry about that, and you use it to compel forward a policy position. Like, this is just how politics works.
Exactly.
This is just like the basics of persuading somebody that like something in a country should change. And I feel like they don't know how to do it.
That's just like how you build momentum.
Yeah.
That's just how you like build a movement. And the shutdown is a great platform to start doing that.
And it's
because
just
everyone will pay attention.
It's not a secret how this works.
Yeah, exactly.
People are mad about something. People are disgusted by something. You take that and you say, hey, we should do something about it. And you offer a policy position and you run on it.
And like, it's very clear. And I think the Democrats would do this if most of them weren't brain broken, right?
Yeah.
Because like we said before, I think a lot of Democrats are brain broken with the idea that like, oh yeah, blah, 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 conservatives are right about immigration. We need to be so hard on the border. Dumb shit.
Well, they take losing on the issue as evidence that they need to be more conservative on the issue.
Yeah.
And like, I've never seen a Republican do that.
No.
Like, the only issue I've seen Republicans ever moderate on is abortion.
Yeah.
And with abortion specifically, Democrats don't accept right-wing framing of like, this is a person, this is a murder.
They make it so they have to moderate on the position.
Right. Democrats embrace the bodily autonomy position of the argument, and that argument is so strong and people believe in it so fiercely that Republicans are forced to moderate on an issue like abortion and adopt all these inconsistent stances across the board. Yeah. That's the only issue where Democrats like lock in a message correctly. But they can't do it on anything else.
No, it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you. You already know how to do this. And I got to say, it's like, just everyone knows that ICE sucks. ICE has made the country less safe and more violent than the immigrants that they falsely claim are here to kill your white daughters.
Yeah.
And that's something that Democrats need to latch onto, because in order to like abolish ICE, in order to combat all of the abuses that ICE is engaging in right now, we have to kind of start at square one. And if we don't want this to ever happen again, we have to convince people that rightly factually, illegal immigrants, people who come across that border illegally, do not come here and commit crimes like conservatives make you think they do. They commit crimes at rates less than regular U.S. citizens, natural-born U.S. citizens. It is not a problem. Migrant crime is not this massive issue that conservatives have set out for. It's not a thing in any meaningful way.
Nobody measures it like that.
Exactly.
It's just not how it fucking works.
Exactly.
Like, immigrants just are not a threat to you. But again, like it feels radical to even just say that because Democrats have let it slip this far.
Yeah.
Like imagine like in an argument, if you're in a debate about immigration law or immigration policy and how we enforce the border, and you just say like immigrants are not a threat, I feel like people would look at you crazy because of how much the conversation has slipped to the right and because of how much Democrats have allowed it to slip to the right.
100%, because conservatives lied for years saying that Democrat-run cities are like unique crime-ridden hellholes where you can't take 2 steps outside without being shot or mugged.
By an immigrant.
But right now, by an immigrant. But right now in America, ICE, not immigrants, not minorities, has damn near made that a reality. You can't even step in the field of view of an ICE agent without having to worry about being shot by a rubber bullet or even by a gun, tear gassed, beaten, or like detained and labeled as a domestic terrorist and put in a Palantir database.
Yeah.
That is the reality.
It's not even an exaggeration.
No, that is the reality we're facing. Democrat-run cities are not crazy because of immigrants, because of minorities. They're crazy because ICE is fucking everything up right now.
And Minneapolis, like before this, was low-key just on the upswing.
Yep.
Like they had made a lot of reforms, and Minneapolis was just like a good city to live in.
Well, like New York City is safe. Like everybody thinks. Like I talk about it all the time. I went to New York like last year, and everyone's like, "Oh, stay away from the subway, motherfucker. That shit's fine."
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, like cities have city problems.
Yeah,
but like that, it's just being in a city.
It's just being
like,
in the city.
Yeah.
No, the Democrats have to stop letting conservatives lie.
Yeah,
I think that's the big takeaway here.
Yeah, well, specifically on like immigration stuff, Republicans lied so hard about the number of immigrants that came in under Joe Biden. They would say 20, 25, 30 million, 50 million immigrants.
Well, now some government accounts are like, we need to deport 100 million people. Yeah. That's like everybody.
It's a third of the country.
That's a third of the country.
But like, I didn't see Democrats ever push back on that lie.
No.
And if the Republicans can get you to believe that there is a tide, a tidal wave of immigrants coming in with the specific idea of like doing crime against your white daughters, then of course basically anything's going to be justified in trying to get them out. Yeah. And if there's no actual mainstream pushback, then of course people are going to move further to the right on the issue. Like it's plain.
It's like, it's great. We talk about this like every once in a while we bring it up, but like the death of fact checking.
Yeah.
Like no liberals really push back against those lies, and we don't even have like Snopes to go on there and quote tweet a thing being like, oh, this was fact checked false. Instead, what we have right now, the only like sort of fact checking we get right now is community notes on Twitter.
Yeah.
And fucking Grok is this true? And honestly, like the Grok is this true kind of has a woke bias because reality just does. Like Elon tried to take woke out of Grok and it turned it into Hitler because that's what happens when you take the woke out of a motherfucker. But oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, wokeness is truth. Wokeness is reality.
Wokeness is truth. Wokeness is the way. We just don't have a politics of reality anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because the Democrats constantly cede ground, man. My Democrats
Fascism relies on a weak opponent, man. And my Democrats love to provide. Love to provide. The congregation is missing someone. And that someone, dear listener, is you. The congregation awaits you over on our Discord. If you go into the description of this episode right now, there will be a link to join the Head in the Office Discord where you will find more than 1,000 like-minded individuals for you to interact with. And maybe most importantly, we'll be there.
1,000 members strong. It is a burgeoning community of HITO heads.
That's right.
Ready to receive you into their arms. Make you a part of the community. Vest you as a HITO head.
Over on Discord, we have discussions. You can interact with other HITO heads. And maybe, for some fun, we can do some community events. And we know that you want to be a part of that. Only available over on the official Head in the Office Discord. Now, I do got a couple of extras to end off the show here. And I was going to play this Dr. Oz video, but now it just seems quaint.
Okay.
Essentially, it was Dr. Oz saying, you know what, actually, maybe I will play it because it is kind of crazy.
Okay, I haven't seen this yet.
He's got some ideas on how we can fix the economy of the country and fix our national debt. And I want to see if you think this is sound and humane.
Okay.
So let's take a listen.
If we could get the average American, because they feel healthy, they're vital, they're strong, they have agency over their future.
Okay.
To start working a year earlier, right out of high school, or work a year later, not retire, or work better during their lifetime because they're healthy, it would generate about $3 trillion. $3 trillion
guys,
to the U.S. economy.
Imagine this. Imagine if you were a more productive unit.
Maybe if you just work until you die.
Imagine how much longer you could be at the widget factory if you just skipped high school.
If you just don't go to school, if you just work until you die, then Trump can hang out with more kids. That's what you should be working for, so our elites can chill more.
Guys, I think our happiness and our strength as a nation is tied to you being a better little worker bee and working forever.
Yeah.
And never not working. And you know what, guys? Maybe we need to look at the weekend.
Yeah, I'm coming up with a unique political ideology. How about the state can sacrifice you for its own betterment?
Yep.
You are a unit purely to serve the state. And if you don't want to serve the state, then you're not a part of the national corpus anymore.
Hear me out. I'm coming up with an even better idea. What if, like, you know how sometimes, like, behind the machines is really small and hard to access?
Yeah.
We've got people who are small and can access easy things.
Little people, kids.
Exactly. We can put kids back to work.
It's a good idea.
I mean, when we could bring the looms back, we can bring back American manufacturing, and we can have them go, like, do the untangling or whatever it was that they were doing back there. Guys, we did this before and it worked. I don't know why we got away from it. Frankly, the woke labor union said that we need to give these people a weekend and we need to not let the kids in there. And look at all the economic productivity we lost.
Exactly. We did not grow at all from the time when we put kids in mines.
That growth could have been exponential.
The only thing I care about is number up. Or in the case of debt, number down.
Well, guys, because when the GDP goes up, it's good for me. When the GDP goes up, I notice that in my regular day-to-day life. It makes my groceries cheaper and it makes my life more affordable.
It's just incredible that, like, anything except taxing the rich.
Yeah.
Anything except taxing the rich, man.
Like, it's crazy that people can genuinely get out here and say, no, you should just work like 2 extra years. Like, you should just not retire.
Also, the implication that people are healthy and could work more, but they don't. Come on, dog.
Yeah, people can barely make it to retirement.
Everybody I know has worked to the fucking bone. Yes. Like, be serious, dog. Yes. Next up, I do have this fun story. Shout out Graham Plattner. Shout out Goofy Guy Graham Plattner.
Goofy Guy Graham Plattner, most guy ever Graham Plattner. Main man Graham Plattner.
Main man Graham Plattner, a guy who I'm convinced will probably be the next senator from Maine.
It's going to be the funniest thing. And, you know, I don't know if anything's ever going to be funnier than Jay Jones, but I think Graham Plattner winning might be funnier than Jay Jones because fucking Nazi tattoo, like, that's crazy. And he's winning higher office.
Well, he's winning higher office, but man, Jay Jones.
Jay Jones, man, that's just, it's like your first love.
But we have a story, a brief story here about the Maine Senate race. This is just an insane stat line here. The headline is from Zateo. I'm just going to read it because there's no other way I can preempt this.
Okay.
Susan Collins is getting more money from AIPAC than small donors. 20%.
Dude, that's crazy.
20% of Susan Collins' donations are from AIPAC.
Get her to Congress. Keep her in Congress. She needs to spot at the legislature.
That's one of those, like, insane NFL stat lines.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
People gotta really not fuck with you for you to be getting a higher percentage of donations from AIPAC than small dollar donors. Yeah. That's nuts.
Like, it's so funny that Graham Plattner will probably win that seat.
Yep.
And you got an insane stat line like this, man. You can't be getting more money than AIPAC than, like, your own people.
Shout out Graham Plattner. Shout out Graham Totemkoff Plattner. Man, what a fucking world we live in.
It's shit like this that convinces me that guy's gonna win. The fucking oyster farmer with the Nazi tattoo.
How can you just be so out of touch with that right now?
It's crazy.
Like, how can you be like, yeah, this is acceptable. Yeah, I should keep the AIPAC money spigot open. AIPAC has never been more politically unfeasible to be aligned with. Yeah. And she's saying, oh yeah, no, give me crazy money. Give me all my money, actually. Actually, I want a campaign.
A fifth.
I actually, you know what? I want AIPAC to fund my campaign and that's it. Guys, you know, people in Michigan have been swearing off corporate PAC money. I'm swearing in corporate PAC money.
I'm swearing in only corporate PAC money.
Only AIPAC money, guys. I want to run this campaign. I know small dollar donations. It's not needed. Why should I run around my state and talk to people?
Yeah. Well, why are you asking working people for their money? They need that to pay for groceries.
Exactly.
So I'm going to get the rest from the Israeli lobby.
Why would you want me to waste my time and their time going to talk to them, figuring out what issues they care about when I can look on fucking Twitter and ring AIPAC on the phone?
Exactly.
Oh my God. You guys don't know how to win elections.
It's perfect, man. And the last extra we have here, two that are sort of related. Number one, the Harris campaign account, Harris or Kamala HQ, has been rebooted.
To headquarters.
Kamala has rebranded her campaign Twitter account, and she's fully back online.
Yeah.
Just another look. Everyone is so mad at us talking about Kamala Harris, reading the Kamala Harris book, criticizing her. Why are you talking about her? She's not running for president.
Come on.
Here we are.
This is a tester. Obviously, this isn't just for her. She's saying it's like a Gen Z-led progressive bullshit. It's not progressive. It'll be fucking whatever. To, like, support candidates. This is just so she can test run messaging.
Yes.
It's 100% like her own social media operation that she can use to test run messaging for when she launches. That's all that
Yeah,
this
no,
is.
beginning of next year, she's going to launch again, and she just wants the page to be active.
And I'll be very upset, to say the least.
Yeah, and it's like, the sort of like welcome message or the first message back, they said, welcome to headquarters, the new Gen Z-led progressive content hub. Does she know how progressives feel about her?
Yeah.
I don't think she does.
I don't think she does.
Like, what do you mean progressive content hub?
You know what? It'll be interesting to see how headquarters performs relative to the regular Democrats, like TikTok and Twitter account. The only thing I'm giving Democrats props for right now is that account specifically, because they're posting banger after banger after banger after banger. They're posting Trump is in the files, Trump is in the files, Trump is in the files, not letting him go. They're shit posting like through all of it. Headquarters is not going to be that.
Yeah.
And if it was, maybe I'll give her a little bit of kudos, but I'm still always going to be mad that she's probably just going to use it to run for president.
Yeah, it's just like the term progressive, man. Like, the term progressive has been used so much to the point of absurdity.
It doesn't mean
the
anything.
term progressive doesn't mean anything. If Kamala Harris can label like her, what is eventually going to be her campaign Twitter account, a progressive creator hub, what are we talking about, man?
Well, it's just that cycle of everybody recognizes that saying affordability and being progressive is popular right now, so they're all just going to say that's what they do.
Yeah.
And not actually back any of it up, and then the word's going to lose meaning. Arguably, it already has lost meaning, and then people are going to keep not fucking with Democrats because they don't deliver on anything.
Yeah, I feel like just like everybody uses the word progressive today to like signal something.
Yeah.
And they don't actually have any progressive ideas, or they're just like corporate Democrats.
They're just vague
like,
posting.
Like the term progressive just doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like maybe it once, I don't know, maybe it's always been this way and I'm just noticing it now. But like the fact that Kamala Harris can use the term progressive to describe, again, what is eventually going to be her campaign account just does not make sense to me.
No, it's baffling.
Yeah, it's really bad. And then, of course, the last piece of news, which isn't an addendum because it's probably something that's going to happen and that is really bad. But Trump's gearing up for a 2028 run. And I hear you saying that's a violation of the rule of law. He can't do that. The Constitution, law of the land.
He can't do that. That's against the law.
He can't do that. He's going to do it.
Come on, guys. We've done this song and dance before.
Yeah.
Oh, ICE can't do that. Oh, Trump can't do that. Oh, terrorists are illegal. Oh, this is illegal. Oh, that's illegal.
He's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
He's going to try.
Every single time.
Yeah, at this point, he's going to try. It's kind of crazy.
And he's also talking about like nationalizing elections in 2026. Like he's going to try to do it.
Well, they're also just like another piece of news here that probably shouldn't be an addendum. Probably should get its own thing. But like Epstein and my Democrats, you know what I mean? What else is there to talk about? Maybe we can expand on this more on the Monday show if there's more news that comes out about it. But they're putting ICE agents at polling places.
Yeah.
Like
that's just voter intimidation.
That's just voter intimidation.
Yeah.
Guys, immigrants don't vote. Illegal immigrants can't vote. It's not a thing that happens. It's not a thing that's found out to happen. This is 100% a move to go and arrest. What ICE has been doing, ICE is ostensibly going after the worst of the worst in this country, right?
Yeah.
Just in their day-to-day roving patrol operations. That's what they say. But instead, they run around and they grab brown people off the streets. Some of them are citizens. Some of them are not citizens. The some of them are citizens part is obviously very scary. The not citizens part already abhorrent, but you know where I stand on that. They're going to go to polling places and they're going to look for a guy with an accent. And they're going to look for a guy that's brown. They're going to look for a guy that fucking walks funny for all I know. They're going to detain him. They're going to take him away, put him in detention, because that's what they've been doing. They do it to U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
They do it to everybody, and that person's not going to get to vote.
Yeah, if they do that on election day, you just don't get to vote.
Like, that's just what happens.
Yeah.
And they just do it, and they'll get away with it, and nothing will happen, because Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom wouldn't prosecute these people, and Kamala Harris especially won't prosecute these people.
No.
Who fucking knows, man?
Not my Democrats.
Not my Democrats.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode and means that we must read our Spotify reviews very quickly before we head out today. This first one from Donovan Boynton. Shout out Discorder.
Shout out Discorder.
Shout out Discorder over here. My favorite RPG 7 compliant podcast. These corked up white boys from the Midwest are the shining beacon upon a hill that the founding fathers envisioned.
Yep.
Despite it being Black History Month.
Also, happy Black History Month, by the way. I think we forgot that at the earlier episode.
I feel compelled to shout out this bastion of sanity amid the sea of chaos and misery. I don't know why you got to say despite.
Despite it being Black History Month, shout out these white boys.
Yeah. For anyone listening or reading, join the Discord community. We're at 1,300 members and counting, and donate to the Patreon. I condemn all forms of violence, and I know that at least these boys aren't in the Epstein files.
Big on that.
So
big
true,
on that. I've been saying
true.
this for a while, guys. Google Jeremy Engage in the Epstein files, and you'll see nothing. You'll see nothing. This next one from Captain Phantasma, 5 out of 5 Democrat spines or lack thereof. As a constituent of the Blexus district that flipped that rents in a fairly wealthy neighborhood, there are way more signs for Taylor Remmett and James Tellerico on my walks than any conservative candidate. We are also one of the last major red cities in Texas, Fort Worth, big if true. And that is big. And that was big, that win.
Next one from Robert, 5 PS5 compliant podcasts out of 5. I condemn political violence and I condemn the idea of pirating the Melania movie and giving us a review. Wow.
Fucked up.
You white boys give me a breath of fresh air every time I have to work in my corporate office and have to sit with my thumb up my bum and pretend to generate shareholder value.
Well, how would you like to start working a year earlier and keep working a year later?
Get in the mines. The children yearn for the mines. Been listening for a year and a half now and loved the attention you guys bring to stories on and off the pod. Many thanks and appreciation come from the Commonwealth of PA.
Amazing. This one from Jay Hawkinen. 7 out of 7 of my capitulating Democrats. Now it's 21 out of 21. Dropping this review as I'm finally leaving Spotify to join the Patreon after finding you guys on TikTok back in October. Wow. That's a quick turnaround, folks. Wow. That's the type of turnaround I need to see you guys on. Model listener right here. As a listener from Maine, it's always interesting to hear you talk about Graham, the guy ever Plattner. He's been cooking with abolished ICE messaging. He has been cooking with abolished ICE messaging. As I hike the Appalachian Trail this summer, I will be bringing this podcast along to stay informed. Wow. Thank you for reminding us that good things are good and bad things are bad. That is true, and good luck on your hike.
Shout out all the Mainers out there.
For real.
Next one from Phoebe, 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know which one is Jeremy and which one is Jage, but I know that good things are good and HITO is a good thing. I would like to nominate my Democrat, New Hampshire Senator Janine Shaheen, who voted to end the government shutdown in the fall.
Nice.
And has since written a strongly worded letter to Kristi Noem to not make an ICE detention center in New Hampshire. Thank you both for the laughs and knowledge on this wonderful Madden NFL 2017 compliant podcast.
Amazing. This next one from Jam Phoenix, 3.5 million redacted files out of 3.5 million redacted files.
True.
I just want to say that I condemn Hamas and all political. You know what? I wonder how many times they may have just like accidentally or just redacted Epstein's name. You think
probably a lot.
That's probably a possibility. Yeah. They just redacted Epstein's name at some points to like cover up for something crazy. I digress. Back to the review. I just want to say that I can condemn Hamas and all political violence. Interesting. I'm going to say that's condemn. These two empathetic, compassionate, and most importantly, quirked up white boys are always a highlight of my day when I get the notification. Haven't been able to join the Patreon as of yet. Apologies, but I've pledged that when I'm able to acquire my 10th, 11th, or 12th home, I'll make sure to throw you a free bonus. I'll make sure to throw you a few bones so you can buy a house in cash. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This last one here from Coriander, 5 out of 5 slow partial releases of a controversial FBI case to redirect public attention. Glad to see these Midwest white boys advocating for my Democrats, and of course, I would have no problems with Republican policy if I didn't feel the need to condemn all forms of violence. So true. Thank you all for those reviews. If you want your reviews read, leave them on Apple, leave them on Spotify, and eventually we'll get to them.
Eventually we'll get to them. And if we forgot your Spotify review or it didn't show up, drop it again. Drop it. My bad. You know what happens?
Whoopsie doopsie.
Happens to the best of us sometimes, guys. What can I say? Sometimes things are unfair.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever. It's time to read these patrons.
Shouts out all the patrons, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Triplinski, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vezquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer, Punk, Jim Egbers, Bega Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Jennifer DeVoe, Cross Fitchin, Bennett Benton III, Alexa Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz, Boy Toy, Dictator Chase, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Science, Aaron Headed Gundams, Darth Fowler, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mono, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ass Smith, The Grotler, Murder in a Trenchcoat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Ghana, Guana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cami, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Anna Valinic, KCC, Sayas to West, August, Particular Pickman, Sir Capalot, Jeff Sines, Brenda's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Walls 3000, Chris T, Kashan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Ron Sletto, Midwest Marks, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Hope, Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Do Fairy, Chelsceratops, Austin Lima.
Lane Waltz, Azimfit Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Novark the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addy Book, Merlin, Cryo Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majawat, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-Inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rourke Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Sound Logic, Sleven, I Have Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, CIA Small Creators Fund, Taylor from Burton, Minneapolis, Northeast Nick, Aya, Retired AF and SC, YK Coolin, Woofer G, Gayest Worm, Niles Chamberlain, Sugar Free, Baja Blast, Kristen the Leftist Nurse, Fake Airplane, TJ Loves Colleen, Mothman's Gay Lover, Real Jesus Christ, Queerla, Carter Gethin, Blue Lou 92, 1000 Miniature Horses, Will Grant, Gay for Jeremy, Hail Libertas, Walter Vonder, Vogelwide, Rad Dene, Captain Butt P, Cam Toki, Captain Butt P, man, it's goated, Chef Sam, Mexplique, Mealy Ducard, Call Me Bubba the Way I Receive Hito,
Huge.
Gina, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you.
No, we could not. Thank you for joining the HOA. Thank you for contributing to the Buy a House in Cash Fund.
And we'll see you next time.
Have a great weekend.